Jay Shidler, his first gift was $25 million cash, essentially. The second gift was we got up to $100 million. That probably was in my first 5 years. He invested so much in the college, and he seemed happy with what we were doing. As long as you can see progress and change, it's hard to leave. Our pitch is, for some of these students who are really capable, is that if you get into our direct admit program, we have ample scholarship support for study abroad. You can get your out of Hawaii experience by going for a semester in Japan or Korea or Singapore or with some of our partner institutions there, and that's going to be a really great experience. Actually, I worked for the Federal Reserve for 5 years, and I really loved that job. Teaching became more important to me later when I looked out the window and I noticed there's a lot of college students out there, and I think I better step up my teaching game a bit. The early things I learned were mostly from sports. Every baseball season, I'd be bigger and stronger, and I had aspirations. So I worked incredibly hard. I had to wear Band-Aids on my hands because I had blisters. And this was in Vancouver, Washington. This was raining and it was cold. But that taught me that incredibly hard work pays off. And that's something I took with me to Harvard. A really good dean friend in Seattle U, Joe Phillips, he's been dean there for 20-some years too. And I kept on asking about his retirement. He said, I'm not retiring, it's transition. So I'm transitioning. I got some great advice from Dave Bess. He was dean for 18 years. He said, you don't want to just stop. He advised me strongly to go back in the classroom for a few years just to kind of slow down a bit, but not do the dean job. Now that's what I'm planning to do. I was in the classroom for 20 years, and then I've been out of it for 20 years. We'll go back and see.
Greater Good Radio, connect, learn, heal, and grow, is brought to you by Brain Gain Hawaii, a boutique executive recruiting, career development, and coaching firm. Learn more at braingainhi.com. Welcome to Greater Good Radio. Today's guest is Vance Roley, the Dean of the Shidler College of Business at the University of Hawaii at Manoa. I've known you since basically you came.
That's right.
Right? If you could go back, let's say even the first week before you set foot on campus, what advice would you give yourself?
Well, first, your first comment, we met in 2005 when I first got here. You were an EMBA class, and I think I first met you at the celebration dinner for graduation. Wow. I think it was at the Moana Surf Rider. It was a nice dinner.
Your memory is good. Either that or you did homework or something.
No.
Oh, yeah.
I remember when I met you, and it was really nice. I had a great cohort. And as usual, the happiest graduates are the EMBAs when they graduate because they're balancing work and school and everything else. So what advice would I give myself? Well, I had a lot of experience before I came here, so I kind of knew what I was getting into. So I was an associate dean and acting dean at the University of Washington before I came here. So I had some experience knowing what a dean position involves. I don't know. I think I was settled in pretty nicely. I think I knew what I was getting into.
Well, think about this. You've had 20 years here, right? Hawaii's kind of a unique place.
Yeah.
Your life is in a different place than it was back then. You're older and so on. Imagine that you were assigned to yourself as the mentor, mm-hmm. and you only had a few minutes to impart something. What would you tell yourself?
Well, in Hawaii, I think it's important to be humble and not be a self-promoter. And I've always tried not to do that. I mean, it's not about me. And I tell people, for example, Jay Shidler, he's given some big gifts, right? And we've named the college Shidler College of Business. So I ask people, who was the dean at Wharton when Mr. and Mrs. Wharton named Wharton? Well, I don't know. Who was the dean at the Kellogg School at Northwestern when the Kellogg's named Northwestern? Who knows? So, that's, I think, how I view the dean's role. I'll be forgotten pretty quickly. Hopefully there'll be a great replacement when I leave at the end of this academic year. And it's just being kind of humble and knowing it's not about you. It's about the institution, and it's about the alumni and the donors.
So in order to, let's say, not be forgotten, right? And let's take the 20-year period. What would be the one moment or one experience or one piece that you would say, this was the most meaningful to me?
I think the most meaningful thing, to build a really good business school, you need a really good faculty. And so when I came here, I really increased faculty support. And over the last 20 years, we've hired some tremendous faculty. We had a good base when I came, but the building this incredible faculty we have now is something that I think people will remember. And so the question is, how did we do that? So I only asked for one thing when I came here as part of my startup package. I said I wanted 3 years of summer research support for the faculty at $300,000 a year, and then we would figure out how to raise the money for summer research support after that. So we've had summer research support now for, I think, 21 summers, which is essential to recruit and retain great faculty. When I came here, we had 6 faculty endowments. We had 6 endowed chairs. That's great. We have 43 now in faculty endowments, and we need summer research support to recruit and retain great faculty. And it started slowly. So we had the support. We hired a few really incredible faculty members. But once you get a critical mass here, it's easy to recruit. I love recruiting faculty now. It's easy.
Like, what's the value proposition that you give, or the sales pitch?
So there's a couple of things. Okay. One is that, for example, we'll be recruiting this year for an assistant professor in marketing and accounting. So the sales pitch is we have a competitive package. We have some research support. If you do well, you'll be eligible for a faculty endowment, like an endowed faculty fellowship, which spins out funds for research support and salary support during the summer. And you have great colleagues to work with. And we'll do everything we can to support you and make you successful. So, I mean, some of the truly elite business schools, again, let's say Wharton, their success rate in tenuring faculty is probably about 10%, probably about 1 out of 10 they hire make it.
Why?
It's just their standards are so incredibly high. You have to change the way you think about a discipline to get tenure, right? And everybody knows it. I mean, they go there for the experience, but they know they're probably not going to get tenured there. But that's not our approach. Our approach is we want to invest in our faculty and have them succeed. And we're really successful in doing that.
You have to be a PhD in order to be a professor or be a teacher or faculty? Okay.
Yep, have to be a PhD. And so that's the part of it is the support that we can give you. The other part is your colleagues. And again, you look at the School of Accountancy. When I came here in 2005, it was our weakest unit. Now it is our strongest. I mean, they are hiring such incredible faculty, you wouldn't believe it. And they're going to be out this year again. And they've done a couple of things to help that recruiting too. They started a Hawaii Accounting Research Conference. So this is drawing about 350 professors from around the world each January now. And then they did something also that was really an innovative idea. They started the Hawaii Accounting Research Doctoral Consortium. And this is where you take some of the best PhD students from around the world, and they come here for the summer for a few weeks, and we get professors from Stanford and all over the place to teach in this program. So it's really put them on the map.
What's just some things about the business school that people don't commonly know that you think are these are the hidden gems that you should know?
Well, I think we try to tell our story out there, and we're having really good success in terms of faculty recruiting and student enrollment. I think they just need probably the faculty quality. I mean, the faculty quality is exceptionally high. So that's one. The other hidden gem is our freshman admit program.
The direct admit.
The direct admit. So direct admit program, we call it DAP, unfortunately. But that program has been hugely successful. We started off with 20 highly capable students 15 years ago or so. Now we've capped it at 100. This year's entering class has an average high school GPA of 3.93.
Oh, so it went up? Because last year's one was like 3.8 or something,
yeah,
right?
It's 3.8 something. This year it's 3.93. And it's incredible.
That's unweighted?
That's on a 4-point scale.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we would have loved to have your son in that program. Evan.
You know what? Thank you on that. I mean, he was going until he got a better deal, kind of is what it was. And it was like, okay, try it. But at any moment in time, if that deal, something happens, he's like, I'm coming home. Like, okay. Yeah. Because he had friends there. He has it all calculated out. I would have enjoyed him over there. My older son might take master's classes, though.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope so. Yeah. That'd be nice.
Yeah.
So we often get the kids, if they went to continental U.S. for their undergraduate, we often get them back in a MBA.
Such a good deal.
Or MS or something.
Okay, wait. So on the master's, How does like scholarships or financial aid or grant programs work then? How does that work for you guys? Is it only need-based or?
No. Our scholarships are almost all merit-based. And we do set aside some funds every year for our master's programs.
And then like what kind of merit? Is it GPA period or like other stuff or what?
GPA is going to be the big thing. We don't require tests, but for some scholarships, they do require tests. Some of them say you need a GMAT score, basically. But now it's basically just how successful you were as an undergraduate. And if you have some work experience, that's going to count too.
What's the GPA that you would say, okay, this is the cutoff for that kind of?
We have an official cutoff as a 3.0 to get into a master's program.
No, for merit, to get merit scholarships, yeah.
It just depends. Depends every year, yeah.
But do you think that the minimum would be like a 3.8, 9, 3.9, or what it would be?
Oh, no, it's going to be much lower than that. In fact, some of the scholarships have criteria, so they'll say at least a 3.3.
Oh, so it's doable.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. How do you guys view or weight withdrawals?
Doesn't matter, no.
Okay.
But also the major matters. I mean, if you're a 3.3 undergraduate in engineering from the Naval Academy,
yeah,
I mean, that's impressive, right?
Yeah, because the rigor is just so incredible. So if somebody isn't coming out of their undergraduate, but they have a handful of withdrawals of the lower level kind of elective classes and stuff, that's a big deal or not really?
No, doesn't really matter.
Does that matter for law school or no? Like if it's JD MBA, like, you know what I mean?
The JD MBA, it doesn't matter to us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And we've changed the criteria. So that program's going pretty well now. We used to require like 2 years of work experience, and now we count their law classes because a lot of students going into law school just go directly from undergraduate program. And so we were excluding a lot of really capable students. And they were actually on campus for a couple of years in the law school. And so we're counting that in the internship experience they get there as a work experience. So that's helped that program a bit.
You know, I have 4 kids. The oldest just graduated from college. And as I look at it, before it would be like, you got to go to the mainland. It wasn't even a question. It was like, if you don't, it's almost like shame, like, oh, what's wrong with you or so on. But I look now, and the largest school is UH, the largest school to go to. And I got to say, like, the ROI on that, to me personally, is the best. Like, it's still fairly affordable. I mean, when you have a private school that is $96,000 cost of attendance at the rack rate, I mean, serious? Like, that same student can go to in Shidler, go into DAP, get originally, what is it, like 4,000 off because they're at, what was it, like 3.5 GPA or something? Well, where do you get the 4,000 off?
That's just UH admissions.
Yeah. And then you can get more, right? If you have a higher GPA and then you get more, it's like, and then you can go study abroad. You get the extra benefits on that. I run the mentor program for the DAP with Jody Hashimoto. I mean, you get so much resources for the price. It's a good deal.
It is. And our pitch is, for some of these students who are really capable, is that if you get into our direct admit program, for example, we have ample scholarship support for study abroad. So you can get your out of Hawaii experience by going for a semester in Japan or Korea or Singapore or with some of our partner institutions there. And that's going to be a really great experience because we think you probably should have some out of Hawaii experience, but we can help to provide that. And even the students who aren't direct admit program freshmen, I mean, we do have scholarship support for study abroad. I mean, I believe really strongly in study abroad. I see kids who've been in Hawaii their whole life, haven't been out of Hawaii, and they go to Japan for a semester and come back. We see them before and after, and it's amazing how much they grow in that semester and study abroad.
Is there such a thing as somebody who goes to a mainland school, graduates, and then re-enrolls at Shidler, like undergrad or something, so they can do a study abroad through UH? Is there such a thing like that, or it's mainly for the undergrads at UH?
Yeah, mostly for the undergrads. As you know, for our executive MBAs and our MBAs, we have Asian field studies. So they have great experience.
I was just curious to see if you could just kind of somehow participate in the study abroad. Yeah, I'm just, I'm trying to see how these numbers work here.
So we actually have some tracks in our MBA program that aren't used that much, but we have a Japan track and a China track, whereas China track now is an issue.
Like James? Like the James one?
It used to be like, it was modeled after that, except the experience in Japan is not an internship, it's at a partner university taking classes. And so we flipped that around because with the old GEMBA program, the internship was at the very end. And so when they came back, it was really hard to place them because they missed the whole recruiting season. And so we put a traditional internship in between the first and second year, and then they can do a study abroad in Japan for a semester, one of our partner schools there.
So what advice would you give to parents of kids that are high school level in terms of any tips that they could have as their kids move through that to get the job? Because right now, to me, job market coming out, it's with AI and everything, it seems a little bit unsure in certain areas especially.
Well, make sure the university you attend has a good career services office. I mean, that's one piece of advice. And again, we're pretty unique in that we have our own dedicated career service office at Shidler College of Business. Most undergraduate business programs do not in the continental U.S. We do. And so last year, our placement went up, actually. Last year, we were over 90% 3 months after graduation.
Oh, wow.
Placement in their majors, basically.
And how many students?
Graduating, I'd say around 600 probably.
That's pretty high.
Yeah.
How does that compare to nationwide?
Well, business schools do pretty well in placement, but it's higher than average. A good placement ratio is around, in the 80s, right? And so we've been at 88% for like a number of years. This last year, we got up to 90.
So how did you end up here in Hawaii? You know what I mean? Because you were at Harvard for a while, right?
I was a student, PhD student at Harvard.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But you could have stayed there, right? You could have stayed in that area.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, I had some offers to some universities in the Boston area, and I declined. So I grew up on the West Coast. I'm really a West Coast, Pacific Ocean person.
California or?
Well, I was born in California, but I grew up in Washington State.
Okay.
But I like ocean and mountains, so that was important.
Boston has an ocean. I don't know about the mountains. Does it have a mountain? I don't know.
They call them mountains.
It has an ocean. It looks cold as super cold, but I mean,
in the summer,
it's an ocean.
in the summer it's okay. But they have things they call mountains.
Yeah.
But growing up around some real mountains.
Did you grow up in Seattle?
No, I grew up in Vancouver, Washington. So I grew up in a suburb of Portland, Oregon, basically. Yeah.
Oh, that's nice though over there.
Yeah.
That's nice. Do you go back there much?
I have not been back much. I go out to Seattle all the time. My two older kids are in Seattle, but I haven't gone to Vancouver much, no.
You still have family out there or not really?
No, just my older kids in Seattle. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Why would you leave Washington then?
To come here?
Yeah.
Well, okay, so I was at the University of Washington for 21 and a half years, and I was a professor of finance, then associate dean, and then the acting dean when I left. I had a dean mentor. You're a mentor. We value your mentorship with all our students. I had a great mentor as associate dean. I was like the number one associate dean. And he always was encouraging me to apply for dean jobs. And I had made it back to the West Coast in Seattle for 21 and a half years. So I was very happy being on the West Coast. And so I drew him a map one day, and his name was Josh Gupta, an East Indian. So they had like that Eastern philosophy. He was really, really cool. And so I said, Josh, really, here's the only places I'm willing to go. I said, here's Seattle. I drew a little circle around that. California, West Coast, or Hawaii. Those are the only places I'm willing to move. Mm-hmm. He said, okay. So I did interview at a school that was not on the areas I circled and tried to convince myself that 500 miles wasn't too far to drive to the ocean, but I didn't convince myself well enough.
Was it just that you just didn't want to be in that area? I want to be closer.
I just grew up, I grew up near the ocean and the Columbia River and mountains, and I was in Boston for 4 years. And I lived in Kansas City for 5 years after graduate school, worked for the Federal Reserve. So once I got out of my graduate school haze and realized I'm in the Midwest, how do I move from the Midwest to get back to the West Coast? And so I felt very, very fortunate that I ended up at University of Washington.
So were you about to take that job that you went and interviewed, they made you an offer and you were like, or you just pulled yourself out?
Yeah, just pulled myself out. And then Yash Gupta, he left, he became dean at USC, actually, and I became acting dean. And we accomplished a lot. I mean, the school, Foster School of Business, we had fallen out of the top 50 at one point. And by the time I was acting dean, we got back in the top 20.
Oh, so when he went to USC, then you took the head spot at UW.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And UW's a huge school.
Yeah, it's huge. Yeah. It's 40,000 students, and the business school is not that much bigger than here. first of all, he's going to be a very tough act to follow. I mean, he had really made a huge impact there. And he's the reason they're still successful now, in my view. I mean, it was all about the stuff I'm doing here. It's like raising money for faculty endowments.
He set up the foundation.
Yeah, and the scholarships, being really transparent, getting the faculty to buy in. So we had 2 previous deans at Foster, at UW, and they were at war with the faculty, and which is not uncommon, actually. Mm-hmm. You got to have the faculty buying in or it's hopeless. So the faculty bought in, and the faculty were at war with the previous 2 deans because they were making all these side deals, and it was just not transparent. It's, bad atmosphere. And Yosh was just incredibly transparent. And I'll tell you a little story. So the faculty at Washington tended to elect me. What we have here, we have a faculty senate, we have president, faculty senate. We had something kind of equivalent at Washington. So the faculty, every time we had a new dean, they tend to elect me as being president of the faculty senate so I could butt heads with a new dean, right? We had 10 years of kind of bad atmosphere. And so I was president of the faculty senate and walk in. The dean wanted to see me, all right. I walk in and he tells me his vision and what he wanted to do and equity and, incentives. And I just bought into it. I mean, after this one meeting, I said, Josh, I've got some advice for you. I said, get out of here as fast as you can. This place is going to chew you up and it's going to ruin your career. Because all we've had was like trouble with deans, and I felt like he wasn't going to be able to turn everybody around. But he did. He stayed for like 6 years, which is the average tenure for a dean is 4.5 years. Stayed for 6 years.
That's almost like a nonprofit executive director. Yeah. He's like 4 to 6 years.
Yeah, it's 4.5 for a dean.
Yeah.
And so I thought, okay, it's going to be kind of tough to follow. But at the same time, this was 2004. The whole global economy was shifting to Asia, particularly China, right? And I thought, so Washington was really well positioned for that, but University of Hawaii was really well positioned for that too. Plus, they had an, interim president at that time, David McLean, who became president. Well, I always highly respected David McLean. So he and I actually worked together for a year. So we were both senior staff economists at the Council of Economic Advisors in Washington, D.C. He stayed for 2 years. I stayed for 1 year.
How old were you during that time?
I was way too young to have that job. I was like 27 or 28. I mean, I was like advising, president on things and secretary treasurer. And so we had 3 members of the council, right? And then we advised them. And then we would often go to the meetings and they advised the president or whomever. But I learned something. Be scarce on Fridays because Friday about 4 or 5 o'clock, a member will come in and dump your weekend workload on you. So I didn't get to see much of Washington, D.C. my year there. But anyway, David McLean was there, and he's about 5 years older than I am. He had served in Vietnam. I managed not to. He was MIT PhD, really highly regarded. And so I worked with him for a year in D.C.
So you guys became friends over there?
Yeah, this is 1979, 1980, a long time ago. And when he became the interim president, I was reading the press and it looked like he was for sure going to be the permanent president. I thought, okay, I think he's going to go somewhere.
Were you still in contact with him at that time?
On and off. So when he was dean of what is now Shidler College of Business, and he came over to see us at Foster because he wanted to launch a PhD program, which he did, and it's still very successful today. And so, yeah, I saw him then. I'd see him every once in a while. But he was not involved in my recruiting. He was president. We had a chancellor at the time. And he made it clear, I mean, to me, this is chancellor's call, But I thought the system's going to do really well with him as the president. And it did. I mean, he hired Virginia Hinshaw as chancellor, who was awesome, and had some great vice chancellors, Neil Smatras, who became president at UNLV. And it was called North Texas State. I don't remember what it's called now. And Gary Ostrander, who came from Johns Hopkins and went to become vice president of Florida State. I mean, it was a great group of people that were hired during his time. And so, given, again, this whole shift toward Asia, the fact that David McLean was president was going to give us some stability and wanted to get better. I mean, you want to go to an organization where the goal is to get better, right? And so that was all about, let's make this place better. And so all those factors lined up.
So did you apply or did the recruiter reach out to you?
I applied.
Okay.
Yeah. I saw it was open. I applied.
So you didn't tell anybody at UW during the time, right?
Oh, yeah, my mentor, he was the dean. He was always pushing me to go apply.
But at the time, you were the dean, right?
Well, when the process started, this is University of Hawaii. It takes forever to hire somebody.
Yeah.
In my case, I'm giving them a year and a half, right? So that was about a year and a half process. It started in 2003, and I ended up, my first day was January 1st, 2005. So yeah, he was still going to be dean at Foster for another year.
Did you feel like you had left unfinished business at Foster at all, or nah?
We left that place in such incredibly good shape. This is my goal for Shidler College. I mean, this whole year, I just want to wrap up everything and make it in best possible shape I can. We left it in great shape.
As you kind of wrapping things up at Shidler, is there anything in particular you wish you had spent more time on or less time on?
Well, Virginia Hinshaw, one of our really great chancellors here, I remember her speaking about how she viewed her job. And she said, there's a lot of problems that can be addressed, but I like to focus on what's good. And so that's what I've tried to do. You can get caught up in any university's bureaucratic issues, and you can just waste all your time on things that really aren't going to matter that much. But if you have some things that are good, they're going to have a big impact and you make them better. I think, first of all, it's more fun working on things that are good, right?
So where do you see in the last 20 years your own personal growth the most? Maybe a memory or something where you personally grew the most?
Well, I really didn't like doing things like this 20 years ago. I really didn't like giving speeches.
Are you saying you like it now?
Yeah, I do. With you, Evan, is awesome.
Thanks.
And I really didn't enjoy getting up on a stage and speaking in front of 500 people. And in fact, 20 years ago, I would kind of count on an adrenaline rush. I'd be sitting at the table and they'd call me up and I'd have to do my speech. I'd get this surge of adrenaline. My heart would pound. I mean, I viewed it as a positive, actually. It kind of got me going. I don't have that anymore. Oh. I kind of miss it. So I just get up there.
So have you given thought about what you're going to do kind of like post-retirement as being the dean? I mean, what are you going to fill your time with?
So my friend, a really good dean friend in Seattle U, actually, the business school there, Joe Phillips, he's been dean there for like 20-some years too. And I kept on asking about his retirement. He said, I'm not retiring, it's transition.
Okay.
So I'm transitioning too. So I got some great advice from Dave Bess. Dave Bess was dean.
I just saw him.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah.
I see him every once in a while.
He looks good.
He looks great. Yeah. He was dean for 18 years. And I remember when I first got here, by the way, and I introduced him. He was on our faculty. And I said, this guy was dean for 18 years. Can you believe that? Nobody in the right mind would be a dean that long. Of course, I'm going to be dean for 21 here. But he gave me some great advice. He said, you don't want to just stop. He advised me strongly to go back in the classroom for a few years just to kind of slow down a bit, but not do the dean job. And I had thought of that as an option, but now that's what I'm planning to do. I'm planning to go back in the classroom. I was in the classroom for 20 years, and then I've been out of it for 20 years, so we'll go back and see how
what
that
you're
works
going to
out.
teach?
It's going to be finance or economics, something. I used to teach investments. I went back and looked at my old PowerPoints.
What about leadership?
Leadership, I'm a finance professor.
Oh, you rather do finance?
Yeah. But McLean actually taught economics, finance, and a leadership class. And he was really good at that. I'd rather just get back and think about economics and think about tariffs and think about the stock market. It's kind of fun stuff to think about.
That's good because it keeps your mind kind of active.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And having a community like that with vibrant people and new people coming in all the time, it's kind of important. If you fully remove yourself from that and all of a sudden it could be super lonely.
Yeah, that's the plan. So at University of Hawaii, as it's true in most places, so when you have a job like this, you can take basically a sabbatical for 6 months to gear back up again. So that's what I'm planning to do. I'm hoping my last day will be July 31st, 2026. And I picked that because I would like to go to Vietnam one more time. We relaunched our executive MBA program in Vietnam after stopping it out for a year. And the first new cohort is going to graduate in July of 2026. So I'd like to be there to see that. Yeah.
Yeah. I have a good friend from high school, John Kuba.
Oh,
who's up there. Yeah.
And I see him. I see him here in Hawaii. I see him in Vietnam. Yeah.
Yeah.
And his wife was a star too,
Yeah.
from Cambodia, right?
Wow.
I didn't know you're friends with John.
Yeah, so John's 90 at Punho, and then I'm 91. We played sports together and grew up together. We both went there from kindergarten. So,
Wow.
yeah. And back in the day, in the Winnie units, which is like the elementary, they were, those just rectangular single-story buildings that were like almost stacked near each other. So at any given time, you're going to meet people from all the different grades because there's only one or two bathrooms. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're in front or back of you. Now it's all segregated. So to me, I don't like it as much. But back then, yeah, you met everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, the bathroom was like a meeting area.
Yeah, so John, I think, was probably in our first class in Ho Chi Minh City. So we'd been in Hanoi for about 5 years before we launched in Ho Chi Minh City, but he was in one of those early classes there. Yeah.
So why did you stay for 21 years versus the 4 or 5 or even 8? If that's kind of the normal tenure.
Yeah, that was not the plan. I was going to do the normal 4 to 5 years and then go back to faculty and do what I'm planning to do in a year. So I think I just started caring too much, basically. So I was getting great support from our alumni. Jay Shidler, during that first 5 years, I think, his first gift was 25 million cash, essentially. The second gift was we got up to 100 million. That probably was in my first 5 years. And I felt that, he invested so much in the college and he seemed happy with what we were doing. I didn't want to let him down in particular. And then I would go to places like see our alumni in Hong Kong and all over the Pacific Rim. We have great alums all over the Pacific Rim. And they continue to be incredibly nice. But, they would come up to me after like 4 years or 5 years and they said, please don't leave. I said, I really hadn't had people ask or tell me that before. So they just say, please don't leave. We really like, what you're doing here. And the Hong Kong alums, they're giving professorships, they're giving scholarships. And they're doing something incredibly nice for me. When we were there this spring, one of them approached me and said, we'd like to endow a scholarship in your name.
Wow.
And what do you think about that? I said, gee, I'm just incredibly honored. Thank you so much. And that's at the point of being signed at this point. And my passion is study abroad. So it's going to be a study abroad scholarship.
So you could lead the Asian field study.
No. Ben Bystrom's too good at that. I can't do that. But so anyway, I felt like we were continuing to improve, and I felt like people had invested, and I just didn't want to walk away.
So you felt the love.
Yeah.
It's kind of what it sounds like.
Kind
you
of.
felt the
Yeah.
love, and it's like that's what makes Hawaii kind of special to me, which is that community feeling, right?
Well, I'll tell you another story to demonstrate this. So we've raised probably the last 20 years $300 million or something. A huge amount of money. The bulk of that, 238 from Jay Shidler. But you tend to get noticed, in the dean world. And so, I get 2 emails a week still. Oh, we're interested in this job, interested in that job. And I always say no, except one time I didn't say no in my 20 years here. This is about 10 years ago. And this was at a really great location, great school. So I thought, okay, I'll go for the initial interview. I'm not going to make it. I won't make the cut for the finalists. So I did the initial interview, flew out, and well, guess what? I was going to be a finalist. I made the final 3. And then I thought about it, and I thought, I just can't let all these people down. And I withdrew. So that was my one and only time I even explored another position in the last 20 years.
Was there one kind of person, or I don't know how you would attribute that like, I cannot leave because of this? I made this commitment.
The big one is Jay Shidler. He's invested so much in the college, and he's been so incredible. Just as, the way I kind of view this, I view him as kind of the non-executive chairman of the board, and I'm the CEO, right? And so, if I have an idea, I'll go to him often. And he'll have ideas, and he'll come to me. The relationship I just value tremendously with him. So he's somebody I just didn't want to let down.
So what is your most endearing story that you would remember or experience or memory with Jay Shidler? If you could only have one memory you could take with you and everything else is wiped out, what would you take with you to remember?
This one is probably not what you're after, but I mean, the thing...
It's mainly like, what would be the one memory that would let me understand how special he is to you?
Well, let me tell you one story that I really liked. Again, we may have to go back and revisit this, but Jay had already given $25 million. He was up to $35 million over time. And I knew other areas at the UH, including the president at the time, they were going to approach Jay for a major gift. And we were not all that coordinated at the UH in terms of these things back then. And so we felt we needed to act, number one. And number two, we felt that to make a huge impact and really just increase the reputation of the college a lot, we needed to be a $100 million business school. You know, we needed a $100 million donor. So we're at the holiday party, and 3660 on the rise, and we're sitting down the table with Jay. Had a cocktail napkin, and I said, Jay, how would you feel about rounding up your 36 million to 100 million? And he sat there, and he said, why? I said, because, well, first of all, I mean, we could still use more faculty endowment support, some scholarship support, and, you know, here's all the things I want to do. But it will just make us really special in the world of business schools to be a $100 million business school. So he got his pen out, and he wrote in his napkin, he wrote down, 35 million where he was. He wrote down 100, put 2 lines under it, and he said, Vance, you better keep this napkin. So I framed it. I've got it framed in my office.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that 100 comes in at one time, or how does that work?
Yeah, his first gift was 24 million cash, 1 million gift in kind. So he painted the building, basically, and renovated some rooms. His other gifts have been a combination of cash and the ground leases, basically.
How does that work for someone who has no clue or maybe even finance background? Like, in layman's term, how would that actually work?
All right. So what he did, he would buy a commercial property, an office building, and the land under it, right? Then he would separate the building from the land, sell the building, and then lease the land to the building owner, a 100-year lease. And if the building owner defaults on the lease, then we get the building back too. So then he would give Shidler College of Business to the foundation, the UH Foundation. He would give them the land and the lease income. So it's like an endowment. I mean, it turns out whatever the lease income.
So at that point, then you need to have your own full division to manage this, or?
Not yet. It's pretty easy now because it's just a lease, and they just get the checks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Once the leases expire, yes, they're probably going to have to invest in a staff person to help manage this, I guess.
Do you have a story with Jay Shidler that demonstrates how smart he is? Because I've been in a few kind of closed meetings, and within 2 minutes, it's like, oh my God, this dude is so smart, and I'm not. It's not even close.
Well, I mean, I can tell you the early years when I met with him, I tried not to have too much coffee before I met with him because he is so smart. My brain would just be going full speed, just trying to keep up. I mean, I can't remember any particular topic or thing, just everything he talked about. And, we hired a new real estate professor a few years ago, and she wanted to meet Jay Shidler. I thought that's a great idea. And so we met at the Shidler College, and basically Jay was giving her real estate 101. I mean, it was just amazing. She would tell him about her research, but then he would just take it. Next steps, just incredible.
Yeah, his thought process and so on is what? To me, it's where we even come up with this kind of stuff?
I mean, I've been around, back in my Harvard days, I was around a couple people I thought were just geniuses. So both of them were Nobel Prize winners. One was Ken Arrow, who was on the faculty there, Nobel Prize winner in economics. The other was Paul Samuelson, a Nobel Prize winner at MIT. And those guys, just wow, I mean, these guys are so smart. I mean, I put Jay in that category. When I'm around him, he is just incredibly smart.
Yeah. Who are some of the other supporters of Shidler that maybe they don't want attention, but that maybe deserve some?
Well, so that's the interesting thing. It's led to kind of a bandwagon effect. So we got a lot of great supporters. So one is Bill Johnson, who is our alum in Southern California.
Is he the one you guys go on the yacht?
Yeah, he has this huge yacht, and he's in our Hall of Honor. And I hadn't been on his yacht before, and he was here for the ceremony one year. And And I said, well, we do an alumni event in Southern California every year. And Bill said, well, you could use my yacht. And I said, Bill, we've got a lot of alumni. I don't know. He says, well, how many does it hold? He says, 250. Okay, Bill, we can use your boat. That will work. So he's been incredible. He gave the first major gift before Jay, actually. And the way that happened, this is something I've never done before. So we were working on the first Jay Shidler gift, right? And Bill Johnson, we thought would be a donor in the $1 million, $2 million range. And so the first time I met him, again, this is something I'd never had done before, never have done since. I said, Bill, we're going to get this huge gift. And, we know that you're really engaged with the college and would probably like to support us as well. But if you could give quickly, then we can really make a big deal out of your gift before the Jay Shidler gift. And so we asked him for $1 million, right? First lunch with him. And he said, okay.
And that's for endowment?
No, this is back in the days when we still had 6 faculty endowments. And so he gave us endowments 7 and 8. He gave us 2 endowed professorships, $500,000 each. He since has put in another $500,000 on top of that to make them both $1 million professorships. He's endowed 2 more professorships at the Travel Industry Management School. And again, he likes 2 things. He likes supporting faculty and he likes study abroad. Wow. His second gift at Shidler, so this Tim School one is pretty recent. His second gift was study abroad scholarship. So it's $1 million endowment for study abroad, which is fantastic. We use it all the time. His fourth gift was another study abroad scholarship at the Tim School. So he's, multi-million dollar donor for us. We have some other great donors here in Hawaii. We have Eddie and Elaine Flores.
It's like the courtyard, right? Yeah.
Courtyard. We've got the Flores Real Estate Lecture Series. We've got huge scholarships from them to support the DAP program. Rolling Casamina House of Finance have the undergraduate leadership room as well as some scholarship support. Boy, now I'm on a roll. I don't want to leave anybody out here. But again, we've got 43 faculty endowments now, and a lot of them were funded. We have just the accounting firms that historically been really supportive. So we have some accounting firms name. We've named some classrooms recently, renovated classrooms. So Thomas He Classroom, undergraduate computer room, and the Carolyn Ching Auditorium, the Ching family. Just goes on and on. Guy Kamataki and his family, the HouseMart, they did the career services thing. So,
wow.
Yeah, it's huge. Again, it's kind of been a bandwagon effect. And I can't forget First Insurance. First Insurance has been huge as well.
And the First Hawaiian endowed you?
Yeah, so that was when I came. That was one of the 6.
Oh.
But that they have a second one now. Mm-hmm. They have an endowed professorship. But First Insurance, we have $2 million insurance professorships endowed. Plus, they are the sponsor of Business Night every year.
So if you couldn't have been a dean, you couldn't go into higher ed administration and so on, what would you be doing?
Well, I kind of got dragged into this. This was not something I aspired to, actually. So again, I was back in Seattle. This all started back there at the University of Washington. So I was the faculty senate president.
You were going to be a professor. That was your path.
I was a professor for 21 and a half years. I mean,
so after Harvard, you decided, I want to teach.
I actually worked for the Federal Reserve for 5 years. I like the research side better. And this was in a research department at a Federal Reserve, and I really loved that job. Teaching became more important to me later when I looked out the window and I noticed there's a lot of college students out there, and they're probably thinking their education's important as well as their parents. And I think we better step up my teaching game a bit. So
if you're at the Federal Reserve and so on, you might have thought, hey, why don't I go into the corporate sector and make big bucks? You know what I mean?
I loved research. So that was the thing. I loved writing and publishing. And so the dean, Yash Gupta, his first number 1 associate dean, that didn't work out well. And that person went back to faculty after a year. So he approached me and he said, I'd like you to be the associate dean. And so the way it works is it's like a COO position, you kind of run the internal stuff. He said, think about it. And I went home and I thought about it. And I came back to him. I said, here are 5 people that do a much better job than me.
You didn't want to do it.
I didn't want to do it.
How come you didn't want to do it? Stay in the classroom?
I like the research. I like the teaching. I mean, And he said, no, I really want you to do it. I said, all right. And so I did it. And
then you still teach classes?
Back there you could, because it wasn't a unionized faculty. Here at
And
University
you
of
can still
Hawaii,
do research or do much already? That's too much.
I can't multitask. I mean, it turned out, once I started doing that, I just was all in doing that. And then I found we were changing that school for the better. And that was really kind of a satisfying experience. And I thought, this is kind of fun. This is totally different from what I've done before.
It can really affect change this way.
Yeah, it can affect change, right. And so I thought, this is really interesting. So I wasn't planning to do it for another 20 years, but as long as you can see progress and change, it's hard to leave, actually.
So let's say you couldn't do anything of that academic stuff. You could do your PhD and so on, but you'd have to go do something else.
My whole thing of getting a PhD was so I could do research and publish research.
Let's say you get that PhD,
Yeah.
but you can't do it anymore. Some door closed for some reason, whatever it was. You're no longer allowed. You can't. It's just closed. You got to go do something else. What would you do?
Well, before I decided that's what I wanted to do, I had this fantasy of just saving enough money early on and going and buying a small resort up in the mountains on a lake in Washington State and just kind of running that.
What would you call it?
A mistake.
No.
I don't know.
Like why?
I enjoy the outdoors a lot. I mean, that's why I like Hawaii a lot too. I mean, and just enjoy, being up in the forests and the lakes and fishing. And growing up, my family's typical vacation was, my father always had a boat. So, taking the boat to one of these beautiful lakes in Washington State and staying in a cabin and just having fun on the lake for a couple of weeks.
That is a nice thing about Washington, because I remember when my dad was sick, we would be at UW Medical Center. And then some of the wings had that lake view.
Yeah.
And then when they'd have football games and so on, the boats would all pull up. Like, well, some of these boats are pretty nice. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I can see that. And then every time we'd have to walk from South Lake Union over, if we walked to Medical Center, if we felt like it, then they'd have that kind of like all the boat docks and so on over there. Yeah. It's nice. So, and those are all freshwater then, right?
Those are all freshwater. Yeah.
So your motors aren't getting killed the same way out here as the salt water.
The problem is cold.
The cold, yeah.
Yeah, I had a boat moored on Lake Washington, actually. A small boat, not one of the big ones you saw at football games. But yeah, you have to watch out for freezing.
Yeah. So did you ever get a boat over here?
No. I should have brought that boat over here. So my in-laws had a sailboat. So they were at Kaneohe Yacht Club. My mother-in-law still is. So they had a sailboat, and they got a little too old to do that. And they bought a small powerboat, which I had grown up with and had one in Seattle. So I would drive their powerboat around for them in Kaneohe Bay. Yeah.
So how did you end up at Harvard? You chose Harvard over where?
Over every place else. Yeah. So that was my first choice.
But were the other places were like all the Ivy League ones too, or?
No, but I mean, I got University of Chicago. I could have stayed at Berkeley. I was undergraduate at Berkeley, got in there. In fact, I was taking graduate economics classes when I was an undergrad at Cal. So I went to Harvard because they were the number ranked program in the world at the time in economics.
So your scores and so on must have been super high.
Yeah, well, I got into school at Cal, Berkeley. I wasn't that serious of a student, but I just really started liking the courses. And yeah, I graduated. I had like a 3.9 at Cal and did well on the score tests.
And plus back then, I mean, I don't know, this is just my own theory, but like seems to be grade inflation these days. I mean, a 3.9 back then, that's like perfect. You know what I mean? To an extent of compared to now.
Yeah, I think grade inflation, it was an issue for a while. I don't think it's as bad now.
I don't know. There's a lot of people with like a 3.7 that I would think.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. And that's like.
You mean if when I go back to the classroom and I'm a tough grader, they're not going to like me?
That might be funny. Probably. Yeah. Who likes the tough grader? Seriously. I don't know. Did you?
I did, actually. So one of my favorite professors at Cal, we had these student reviews, kind of like Rate My Professor, except they were much better. These are Rate My Professors, pretty spotty. But, I had this professor, they said, this guy, the material and the way he teaches is really incredible, but he's a very tough grader. And I thought, look, that's fine. So I showed up there, and that scared away people. I mean, he had like 15 people in his class, right? But I ended up taking 2 other classes from him, including a graduate economics class when I was still an undergrad at Cal, and he was, one of the people recommending me to graduate school.
You figure if he's a tough grader because he has high standards, but he's an excellent professor, that's different.
Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, I'm just going to assume you're going to be an excellent professor. But, I mean, if you're not an excellent professor and you're a tough grader, dude, I mean, come on.
Yeah, we've got those.
So if academics were that important in your life, who was the most important teacher you ever had?
I've had several that were really kind of affected me. The one I mentioned, his name was Stephen Peck, actually. And he was a new professor, just got his PhD from University of Chicago. So I was a statistics major first. Actually, that's about my 3rd major, but I like statistics a lot. I still like statistics. And then I took this economics class. I thought, oh, this is great. So I actually ended up majoring in both statistics and economics. But another guy named Theodore Keeler, who was at Berkeley for years, was the kind of the first microeconomics class I took. And I just found it, just fascinating. I just thought this was the coolest thing. And so he had a big impact. Stephen Peck had a big impact. Professor Hodges was my statistics professor. They all had really big impacts. And actually, I followed some advice. My parents gave me this book and said, this is what you should do when you enter college. And of course, I was typical 17, 18-year-old at the time, said, yeah, whatever, I'm not interested in the advice. But I actually did look at it. And it said one of the things you should do is actually very early on in the quarter or semester, go see your professors in office hours, And I did that. And then I would kind of make a pattern of once a week or once or 2 weeks coming up with questions, some assignments, something, go and talk to them to get to know them. And that really paid off. Then I had a great PhD advisor, Benjamin Friedman, who's authored some pretty impactful books during his career. And I was a research assistant for him for 2 years. And then he was my PhD advisor at Harvard. And then we continued to do research after that for quite a few years.
So, what's the most important thing you learned from him that you can still use today?
Well, he was a very good writer. I mean, he could position his research very well. But he told me one thing that stuck with me. He was very successful in publishing his research, but he told me for every article he published, he had about a 1/3 success rate. So this article would be rejected 2 times on average before it was accepted somewhere. And this is a guy, back then, one of the leading finance, monetary economics professors around. So, I thought, okay, I'm going to get stuff rejected, but that's the way it is. That's life.
Help you set expectations.
Yeah, you just suck it up and try to learn why was it rejected. Oh, they didn't quite understand this point. I didn't explain it well enough. Revise the paper and send it someplace else. So that was good. And I tell our junior faculty that here. I said, look, don't worry about it. You got a paper rejected. I mean, back when I was on the job market, the first time as I was getting my PhD, I went to an Ivy League school for an interview at a business school. And this new assistant professor had a paper rejected. And he was in his office crying, So because my mentor, my PhD advisor, had kind of told me this, it never really affected me like that.
Wow. So what's something from your early life, like your childhood, that would give us good kind of context to who you are today?
Well, I think the early things I learned were mostly from sports when I was growing up. The thing about hard work and practicing. As a kid, back then, you didn't play one sport. I mean, now it's like, you play one sport year round. I think
year round.
Yeah, I think I would take all the fun out of it. I played 3 sports. And so every season, so I thought baseball the most. So every baseball season, I'd be bigger and stronger and hardly wait to go out there and throw the ball for the first time and just to see how much better I was going to be. Well, one year, I didn't grow. I didn't get stronger. This was in high school, my junior year, and I was like the same as my sophomore year. And I had aspirations, So I worked incredibly hard to have a good senior year. I mean, incredibly hard. With my help, my father, he didn't push me to this. I mean, this is all me. We built a pitching mound in the backyard, and he was an engineer. He could build anything. He built a big canvas backstop with a strike zone on it. We had a house that had an attic. We had to put a batting cage up in the attic, and I had to wear Band-Aids on my hands because I'd be up there hitting so much I'd have blisters on my hands. I went out and threw in that mound every day at night, after school. And this was in Vancouver, Washington. This was raining and it was cold. And so I did that. And then I got up at 5:30 in the morning and kind of worked out weights every morning.
So you're pretty serious.
I was like crazed. And my father said, there's more in life than baseball. And I said, no, there's not. So he was not the pushing parent. He was like, come on, get some perspective here. But that taught me that incredibly hard work pays off. And that's something I took with me to Harvard, to graduate school. That was not easy. And I worked really hard, but I had worked hard once before.
Where does that come from? That kind of like stick-to-itness and discipline and drive. Where does that come from?
I just had goals that I needed to achieve.
But why?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, again, the first thing I was just totally overly obsessed because, after I reached my goals, I kind of burned out on it because I was doing what kids do now. They're playing year round.
Did you play college baseball?
I played for a year.
So you were recruited to play baseball in college?
Yeah.
Oh. You went to Berkeley, you said, right?
But not my freshman year.
Oh.
I transferred as a sophomore.
From where?
From University of New Mexico.
How was that?
Well, I wanted to get out of the rain. I was tired of the rain.
Yeah.
So my three choices were Arizona State, University of Arizona, and University of New Mexico. Back then, they were all WAC schools, and they were all national powers, right?
That's all D1, right?
Yeah. And when I signed up with New Mexico, they were like number 2 in the nation. I mean, they were really good. And then as soon as I signed, they plummeted a bit, but it didn't rain, so that was good.
What made you choose them?
They're the ones who gave me a scholarship out of those 3.
Was full ride?
No, baseball scholarship.
Then the differential would probably be affordable, right?
Yeah, it was all right.
Yeah.
And they had a fall season. You could play year-round. They had a fall season, a spring season. I did well in the fall season. Spring season, back then, training was not what it is today. So it was totally focusing on your push-off leg, which is my right leg, right-handed. And everything was just like, I don't know if you remember the old tennis players that with the wooden rackets, they'd have one huge arm and one not. It was all, it was all unbalanced. So the other thing I didn't realize that while it didn't rain, it got really cold. It's a mile high in Albuquerque. And so very early on in the spring season, which was really cold, I just pulled a leg muscle. And I told the coach, and I said, I can't do this today. And he says, yeah, go out in the mound and do it. And so I did. And I could hardly walk the next day. So we just had kind of a falling out.
Because you're going to suck it up and play or else, which is like, I can't move.
Yeah. But in the fall, he was like full of praise. And plus he got the grades, everybody too. And I had good grades. And so he said, look at this guy, he's got 3.8 or something.
So that must have been pretty disappointing.
Once I got to college and the whole world seemed to open up.
So it's kind of a blessing then for you that you could just focus on other things like school versus baseball, huh? Plus you might never have transferred to Berkeley.
No, I would. And I only went there because of the weather. I really didn't understand how good of a college it was, how good a university it was.
And what year were you at Berkeley?
I started in 70 to 73.
Oh, that's still fun. Still pretty fun over there, huh?
Yeah, peace.
Huh?
Yeah, it was still...
Make love, not war still
yeah.
going on. So what was that like at Berkeley then during those times? What do you remember?
Campus life mostly was pretty normal. You would occasionally get the big protest down Bancroft Way, which is bordering one of the streets. I got tear gassed once.
They shot anyone near you?
Yeah, but I wasn't participating in this particular protest. I just happened to be in the area,
What did it feel like when you got tear gassed? Was it crazy?
Yeah, just stings.
Or just bad?
Yeah, just bad. Everything stung, lungs, eyes.
Like tolerable?
Oh, yeah, it was all right.
It's not like you felt like you're being burned alive or something.
No, not too bad. But just a lot of campus rallies. I had hair back then.
Oh, you like long hair?
Not usually long hair, but when I did sports, I still kept active. So every day in the afternoon, I'd either go for a run or play basketball, basically, and I had to wear a headband. So I give you some idea of how long my hair was.
So how did you choose Berkeley? Because you figure you had the other Arizona ones, right?
Well, back then you had to sit out a year too. I practiced with Cal for a while, and I started liking pickup basketball games more and just...
Oh, so you transferred to Cal to play still?
Yeah, I am.
Oh. Or did they recruit you?
So I just showed up to the coach and I said, here.
Like a walk-on?
Yeah, I had a scouting report that I had from a scout.
So you'd already transferred in before that?
Yeah. Yeah.
But how did you determine you wanted to go to Berkeley?
Well, I was born in San Mateo, so my parents occasionally would go down the Bay Area. So I knew I liked the Bay Area. So it was just more, I wanted to find a university that was in the Bay Area. And of course, I wouldn't apply to Stanford, But
how come? It's Too expensive at the
No,
time, or
I'm
what?
just kidding.
Oh.
I went to Cal. You don't say anything nice about
I
Stanford.
know. But you figure, I mean, your pedigree for universities is at the top tier.
No, I think it was probably too much money or something.
Yeah.
But I think probably San Jose State, and I've just applied to a bunch and was determined to transfer. And I learned that Berkeley was like the best one of that group, so I went there, and I went to a few practices. Then I decided, yeah, and I played in a semi-pro team there, what they called semi-pro teams. So that was interesting because you could have former pro players as well as college players on these teams. So I played a couple months on that, and I was kind of over it.
So did you play softball after that? Or
Yeah.
You did? Did you play softball over here when you moved here?
No.
Did you know Danny Lau was playing softball when he was like
I know.
95 years old or something? I'd ask him about that, and he's like, oh, yeah. I'm like, what? How does that work? He goes, oh, it's still the same, but no sliding.
My wife reminds me of that. She thinks
Yeah.
I should go out and play softball.
No, but I think it was like 80 and
Oh,
over
they won
league or whatever it
championships.
was. And it's like, no sliding? Are you
Yeah.
kidding or what? Like,
Yeah, no, they won championships.
yeah.
I remember seeing him play golf in his 90s too. I mean, he's quite a guy.
Yeah, that was surprising. So you kind of wrapped up the baseball career at Berkeley then. So
Yeah.
this is it.
Yeah. But again, I love sports and I love exercise. I still exercise every day now. So,
I know you go for your runs
yeah.
quite a bit. Wait, so your dad, was he a baseball player too?
No. He loved baseball though. But,
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So you have brothers and sisters or?
No, I was the only child.
Oh, so your only child. What was your dad like?
He was great. I mean, he was an electrical engineer. He went to University of Washington. The world has changed, right? So now it seems like you've got to praise your kids all the time, right? I knew he was proud of me, but I knew that because he went to every single thing I did. It's not like today where you say, oh, wow, you did so great and all this stuff. But I knew. And, of course, anytime I wanted to play catch, he'd play catch. Anytime I wanted to shoot baskets, he'd go shoot baskets.
Well, he built you a mound. He built you a batting cage.
Well, I built my mound, actually.
Oh,
But he built the backstop. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
And you would just throw to the net or something?
Yeah, it was like a canvas backstop. He built the things, it was raining all the time there, so the canvas would fold out so the balls wouldn't get soaking wet. But I didn't have a bucket of balls, stand on the mound, pick them out and throw.
Sounds like June Jones when he was telling me about like how he used to practice and he'd throw the balls and footballs and he'd play baseball and golf until his hands bleed and so on.
Yeah, that's
in Oregon, I think it was where.
he was at Portland. I know he played Portland for a while.
Right? I mean, just that kind of discipline and drive you got, it's something else. It reminds me of a friend of mine, Arno Morgado. He played professional football, and after practice he would run the Tiger Trails that put along the track. They have those. He would run up and down until he threw up, because it's not a workout until you, I guess, throw up. That's a different breed. So, what are you gonna miss the most? You think about the last 20 years?
Well, I'm hoping to again phase out and not just cut everything off. I'm going to miss the interaction with alumni probably the most.
You can join our board.
Can I?
I think so. Why not? Is it bylaw say you can?
No, that's alumni and friends, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not? I mean, if you want to.
Nah. I want to give my successor some space.
Okay. Oh, wait. So they're doing that search right now, or what are they doing?
Yeah. So I told them end of last academic year. Actually, I moved my plans back because I was going to do it right after 20 years. So my plan was January 1st, 2025 to step down. Then David Lasner scooped me on the timeline. And I thought we didn't want to have a dean search going on at the same time as a president search. Mm-hmm. So I said, I'll push it back another year and a half. So last spring, I told the provost, and I went to Jay Shidler first, then told the provost. And
what did Jay say?
Well, Jay, I mean, everybody knows it's coming. I mean, I'm getting asked more and more, when are you going to step down? Because it's insane staying this thing for 20 years and not the usual 4 or 5. Jay was always, incredibly supportive, and he seemed really happy that I'm really determined to get a successful search. Because we don't want an interim dean.
Yeah.
Because at UH, interim positions last forever. And look what happened to the Tim School with an interim dean. It just went downhill. And it's not the interim dean's fault necessarily. Mm-hmm. You just don't have the clout.
It's like limbo land.
Yeah. So when I talked to the provost, I said, I'll step down July 31st, 2026, assuming a successor's named. And I will be willing to stay a little longer if one isn't. Because, again, just determined not to have an interim. But I think I've given them a year and a half. So we have a search committee formed. I've made, my announcement. I think the search committee is already talking to people. Jay Scheider's actually funding the search firm. UH often does not hire search firms for positions. And, both Jay and I thought that was a mistake. So Jay is donating money for the search firm. It's a good one.
Wow. Is it a mainland firm?
It's Isaacson Miller.
Yeah.
And they do all the Punahou searches.
Yep.
And it did East-West Center. Yeah. And they did all the early searches that brought Virginia Hinshaw here, me here, Gary Ostrander, Peter Crouch at engineering. Yeah, they're very good.
Yeah, Jim Scott likes them.
Yeah, I do too. I like them a lot. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I think they'll be successful. Also, they're really good at business school dean searches. They've done the last two at Haas Berkeley. They did UC Irvine.
That's your friend, isn't it?
I got
Irvine.
Yeah, but they got the new guy, Ian Williamson, replaced my friend, Eric Spangenberg. Yeah. And then they did UC San Diego. And I know all those deans, and they're really terrific. And they're doing the UC Davis one now.
Pretty busy.
Yeah, but they're connected.
They can recycle all their recruits. It's a pretty good gig then.
Yeah, well, they planted me here 20 years ago. So.
Wow. So is there anything that you feel like we should cover that we didn't?
I don't know. We've talked a lot about everything, my life and career. So.
Yeah, but is there anything else that you wanted to convey?
Well, I've always felt very fortunate being able to live in Hawaii. It's just an incredible place. And, they say after 20 years you're Kamina, but I don't buy that. I think I'm always going to be kind of a guest here, but I plan on staying here.
So this is where you spend your last days?
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. And you probably still have quite a bit of time to teach if you really wanted to.
Well, I'm planning to do it for, at least 2 years. The first year is going to be tough. I've got to gear up all over again.
Relearn.
Yeah, relearn.
Get your lesson plans.
Yes, and that's a lot of work. But once you do it the first time, and usually the second time, you have to revise it quite a bit because
I watch my wife doing that because she's a teacher.
Yeah.
It's like, the first just standing things up it's a lot of work.
Yeah, so that's what my sabbatical is going to be a big part of. And I'm going to go ask some of the faculty if I can go sit in their classes to see how they're doing stuff these days. One of the huge challenges now is AI in the classroom. Every conference I go to, we have AACSB Dean's Conference and AACSB Annual Conference. I go to all the AI sessions trying to figure out what's going on. So the original business school response was, we've got to just avoid this somehow. And then the business school response was, hey, businesses are
better
using
embrace
this.
it.
You got to embrace it.
Better figure it out before you get wiped out.
That's right. You got to embrace it. So we're in the embracing mode now, but we don't quite know what that means. I keep on going to every one of these seminars thinking, this person's going to tell me how to use this in the classroom. No.
That's the hardest thing because it's not linear progression. You know what I mean? It's like big jumps.
Yeah.
Like all of a sudden now I can prompt text to video. And the video's unreal. You know what I mean? Like, in the video adds context even to make it. And it's like, what do you do? Like, the amount of scams and things that can come through now are pretty darn sophisticated. But this is the junkiest it's going to be.
Yeah.
Well, what gets spewed is it's not AI that's going to take your job. It's the person who's using AI that's going to take your job. But then it might actually be AI take your job. I don't know.
Yeah. So we haven't seen it affecting our employment for our graduates yet. There's been some articles recently saying
you're not CS, that's why.
Yeah. Yes.
CS is taking a huge drop. Yeah.
Well, my older son, he was an English major at University of Washington, couldn't find a job, went back and got a degree in computer science, software engineering, and it's once again tough.
I think the numbers were like half of jobs that were 2 years ago. It was massive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I wonder how that works now with others because you figure, writing ad copy, marketing, communications, I think communicates better. It just got the M dashes.
Yeah, I can still, I just got something this morning and I could tell it was AI,
Well, I think if you're just doing it straight out, to me, I've always been a proponent from day one that my kids use it. Whether the schools say so or so on, I don't know. Because they know it would be dumb just to prompt it and then turn that in. That is a dumb move. But in order to brainstorm concepts, help you proofread, help you figure out the writing patterns, maybe add in, what am I missing and so on. It's unbelievable. Like, why would you not use that?
Yeah, so I think our faculty, we surveyed them, about 45% of them it's embedded in their class somehow now. But there seems to be three approaches. One approach is some professors have gone back to paper and pencil exams,
Okay.
right? That's one extreme. The other extreme is they say, use AI, but tell me all your prompts. Tell me what your instructions were and hand that in with your prompts. You kind of grade that. And the third approach is just ignore that it exists and just go in as usual, which is not the good approach.
I saw one that was funny, and this was like last year even, where it was the kids were turning in AI, created stuff, and the teacher was using AI to grade it.
Yeah,
So
I know.
it's almost like let the agents just do it amongst themselves, and then we can, have a, our own party on the side.
Right.
That I thought was pretty smart. But it's definitely an interesting world with the way it's working. Salesforce, I saw, moved they laid off 4,000. That's a huge move.
Yeah.
Yeah. At that point, then, what's the university's kind of kuleana or offering in reskilling? And then where do you reskill? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, do you have an answer for that, or?
I mean, again, we're not behind, I think, at Shidler College of Business, but the business community is ahead of the universities at this point and the curriculum.
Yeah. That's what's going to be interesting to me, is the reskilling. What are you going to reskill in?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't get wiped out fast. Like, if you have one wave that comes, but if you have a whole bunch or a number of big ones that come right after, it's like when we're in big waves, it's not the first one that you get wiped out on that is the issue as much. It's like the next ones.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you're flailing, you try to finally get up and get breath, and next one. That's going to be interesting. I'm always wondering how to prepare my kids for that too,
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, because you have a younger one.
Yeah.
Right.
Sophomore.
So what's his plan?
He kind of likes engineering, actually.
Uh-huh.
So it must skip a generation. My father was very handy, was an engineer. I'm hopeless in terms of being handy with anything. And he seems to be pretty handy and likes engineering. So maybe it skipped a generation.
So you think that he'll go to school here, or just who knows?
Don't know. Schools are sending him emails. He's enjoying that.
Yeah. It's a good engineering school.
Yeah.
So, well, you'll be in that position once again, the whole college thing, but you'll be transitioning by then.
I know. By that time, I might be retired. Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah. At one point, he thought he'd like to go to University of British Columbia so he'd go skiing at Whistler. So.
Well, I think that's a better price too than U.S. schools.
Yeah. It's a really good university too.
The Canada ones were a pretty good price.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's not thinking of that anymore.
Well, Dean Roley, it's been an honor. I've known you for 20-something years. You've always been a good friend. You've always been supportive. I mean, even till now, you support these students. I just want to acknowledge you for everything you've done for our community, and just wish you the best.
Evan, thank you so much. And thanks for all you do. It's being engaged with the college. Your mentorship really matters to these students. Thank you.
Yeah, I hope so. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
If you resonate with Greater Good Radio, please join our community at www.greatergoodradio.com, where you can get access to exclusive content and offerings. Hope to see you soon.